This is Michael with the Child Study team, and I'd like to walk you through the new evaluation template for dyslexia evaluation. This template is to be used for dyslexia evaluation for kids considered under Section 504. On this template, you'll see many new features. The template is designed in a PDF format, which allows us to look at things in a different way. So what you'll see is the form is made up of buttons, text fields, drop-down boxes, text fields that expand, and then also help buttons. So as you're working through the document, when you see a help button, you could click the button, and what will pop up is an example of what could go into your interpretation box. You'll also see here that the template starts small, but if you need additional rows or columns, you could add a row, delete a row. Also wanted to explain the red borders. If a text field or a drop-down box is bordered in red, then that indicates that the information is required. The form will not allow itself to be printed, and you cannot submit the form by email unless the required buttons or the required fields are completed. The submit by email feature is new. This feature was designed to eliminate all evaluations coming in at the end of the year on a jump drive. Procedures are outlined for the submit by email button, but simply what you would do once the evaluation is complete and the MDT team has agreed on the evaluation, the case manager, which is the diagnostician, would submit this evaluation by email to the Child Study Warehouse, simply by clicking on the Submit by Email button. On the Special Education blog under Professional Development, there are further procedures and guidance on how to use the Submit by Email button. But as you scroll through the document, you'll see many sections that you are familiar with. I want to draw your attention to what's called a drop-down and free type box. For example, what is the student's native language? English or Spanish, but what if their native language is something other than English or Spanish? Well, this is a drop-down and free type box, so you would simply type in the native language. And again, many of these are the drop-down or free type. Once you get to your formal assessment, you simply would click on the assessment that's been given, and what will pop up are the subtests that are linked to that assessment, and then a box for your interpretation. Additional subtests can be added or taken away. The default will always be 1. So if you click a subtest, the idea is that you would have at least administered one subtest from that test instrument. Health and physical. Emotional, there's not much of a change, but again, you see the format is very similar. You have add rows, delete rows, and you have drop-down boxes to answer key questions. Building out the academic history, which is important for any kid suspected of dyslexia. It will default to requiring the user to enter the grades that the student has had, but in some cases grades may not be available, so you would click to make the grades go away. State assessments are logged in. If a student, for example, does take the TELPAS, you would click the TELPAS, and up would pop your options for that assessment. Again, here you'd have more examples of what type of text go in these fields. And then you have your standard battery of assessments that are used in the identification of dyslexia. For example, the CTOP. Up would pop a description of the CTOP, subtests that are within the CTOP. You could add a combination of assessments. and you can take assessments away. The cognitive battery does allow for all 7 Gs to be explored in a dyslexia identification. All 7 Gs, however, are not required in a dyslexia identification. You would, however, in most cases, always assess GA. And again, you would have a description of GA, the different subtests, and the tests that relate to GA, your classification, and again, an interpretation. Multiple processes can be clicked. The most recent click will appear at the top. Conclusions: there are 3 standard questions for dyslexia that we must document on our evaluations. Again, does the student reflect one or more difficulties with low performance for the student's age and educational level in the primary characteristics of dyslexia? If that is the case, we would click yes, click the box yes, and we would document exactly where those deficits are. And again, all 3 of these answers would have to be yes in order for the student to be identified as dyslexic. More questions below for the documentation of dyslexia, and then you have the 3 questions for Section 504 eligibility. Is there physical or mental impairment? Yes. Does this impairment substantially limit one or more major life activities? Yes. Does it cause a substantial learning need? And again, the answer would have to be yes to all 3 questions in order for a student to be eligible for Section 504. And then the diagnosis is either dyslexia or not. The template concludes with your recommendation sections. There is a help button if you need some support on what type of recommendations might be good. And then again, it completes with the signature page. You can find more information on the dyslexia evaluation template at the special education blog, hisdsped.wordpress.com, under the professional development link. And again, if you have any questions, also on the link, there is a dyslexia help desk. Please submit your questions to the dyslexia help desk, and there will be a response promptly. Thank you.